Welcome one and all, I'm Decoy, back with some more cool camp locations for you down in the Skyline Valley region of 76. Starting it off this week with a little bit of a raider spot. Nothing super crazy, but you do get this awesome raider tent. I know we can build one, but it's a little bit larger than this one, and to be fair, I wish we had, access to more of the raider tents. I really want some with a smaller footprint. But this spot, you got a couple chairs, I know, whoop-de-doo. There's a container, which didn't have anything for me in it, but you've got a beer spawn, a food spawn, and a weapon spawn here. And I have seen different weapons spawn there, so that's something. The fire pit does leave a little bit to be desired, but if you have access to the floor decor item where you can just place down a fire, I think that would go a long ways. Of course, you do get a fairly decent view off the cliff, but what I really like is when you're approaching from downhill, when you're looking up, you get that super awesome sky. Pretty freaking sweet. And it is pretty darn easy to get to because it is near the observatory. You're pretty much almost heading straight south from the observatory. Now on to our next spot. I feel like this one is going to be fairly popular because you've got this awesome wooden bridge leading over to a little island. Though be careful, you can fall in the holes in the bridge. But you get over to the island. It's mostly open. There's a walking path with a bench. Of course, there's another bridge over there. But if we head off this direction, it's not so much that there's another bridge over here as it was a spot that had a statue and it all just kind of fell through. Of course, there's also a food container over here, but I want to say one thing to keep in mind is these statues like to block you from placing a camp. I don't imagine you'd want to be too close to that, but as long as you stay back closer to the bench, you'll be fine. Of course, there's another container with items in it. And another thing I kind of want to make note of while we're here, we'll run past the bench, because in this tree over here is a duffel bag that has a unique item in it. And it has a diary page. So, even if you're not in it for the camp, if you want to pick up that diary page, now you know where it's at. But overall, this is a pretty sweet spot. I love the bridges coming over here. And it's just kind of a beautiful region. Now, if you want to camp here, you'll find it right over here. Not too horrible. You've got some rowdy neighbors, nearby, but you should be alright. Maybe. Hopefully. Now, this next spot is pretty freaking sweet. I know there's not a whole lot structure-wise going on here, like no super crazy building, and at first glance you look at it and you go, oh, there's like a little hunter perch or something up here, like a hunting stand. But that's not what it actually is. You get up here, of course, you got a little food container and a chair, but it's the book that gives away what it is. Kind of like a bird watching stand. And then you go, well, I wonder what they were watching. You look off to the side, and there's a big old friggin' nest over here. Now, I will say, pretty much every single time I've swung by this spot, there have been pheasants, which is super cool since they're one of the new creatures that were added to this region. And I want to say there's normally 3 of them roaming around here. Of course, you do have a dead ornithologist and a bunch of eggs that you can't interact with, which honestly, that does suck. I wish I could pick up at least 1 or 2 eggs, but whatever. I can't hate on it too much. It's pretty darn sweet seeing all the little pheasants running around. So, if this is a spot that you want to set up and possibly have some pheasants running around, or maybe you're just looking for dinner, I don't know, you'll find it right over here. It is pushing you off a good ways to the right side of the region, but still pretty darn cool. Moving on, we've got a nice little picnic slash scenic area. I'm not exactly sure how to define it. I feel like that's pretty solid. Now, there is quite a bit going on around this area, but I'm just going to try to focus on the main bits. Now, for me, the camp area really starts once we get closer over towards this trash can, because hey, that's a container that could have stuff in there for you. You got this lovely board you could throw wall decor on, a first aid, you know, get you some free drugs out of the deal. That's always nice, right? Further back, there's another trash can back there. Now, for some reason, you can't grab that hat, but there are food spawns in here and what look like some kind of goofy glasses or something, but you can't pick them up. Then once we work our way back over, between the benches, you have yet another container that can spawn things in for you. A nice little photo op area, which is pretty freaking cool. Oh, always nice. I kind of wish like I had that camera on the tripod or whatever. I could just build it at my camp. Another container. I mean, a lot of containers around here. Plus, I'm not going to guarantee that these things will happen while you're here, but the ticks showed up, and there's also some random NPCs walking around. They were having a war with the ticks when I showed up. So that may be more of a random spawn type of thing that you might not run into yourself, or once you place down a camp, it should cancel it out if it is a random spawn. But this does put you down towards the very bottom of the map. Finally, we've got a fairly creepy yet really cool freaking spot. Because, I mean, there's a dead body here. And who doesn't like having a dead body in their camp? Okay, so it might smell a little, but, I mean, I imagine a lot of the wasteland smells horrible. But the dead guy is actually a merchant, which is pretty freaking cool. He's tied, not really tied to a chair, but kinda. Alright? And I don't know, my first thought is, man, I wonder if I could build up like a little interrogation shack around him. And then, of course, you got the knife and whatnot. Whoop-de-doo. And then you got your little makeshift tent. But the other thing that is super cool here is back behind this tree, there is actually an extractor spot. So you can throw down a resource extractor and get some copper while camping here. So you get a dead body that I really feel like there's some potential to be had. You know, working that into the right type of build where it would look really, really freaking cool. And then you get some copper on the side. It's a little bit of a win-win. And it does keep you a little bit more towards the center of the new region. Overall, pretty awesome spot. And hey, don't worry, I've got plenty more spots to show you. So don't forget to hit that subscribe and check back next week, because I will definitely be bringing more camp locations. But that is going to wrap this one up. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please remember to like, sub, and share. Later.